Flight boss, bitch, you know, for sure. You're not listening to the mind of an Antares moon. I'm the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And I'm gonna tell you like this: God ain't the one. God ain't the motherfucking one. But I'm gonna tell you like this: it's a lot of dynamics and it's a lot of layers that goes down into that. So I'm gonna let you motherfuckers know this right now. You know what I'm saying? And if you're a religious person that got any type of bad annotation about language in the English language, about my cursing and equating it with the same word as God, as you would call him as a he, then you don't need to be watching my videos. So I'm going to tell you motherfuckers like this. God ain't the one. But then you have the yang energy out here that precipitate through people that'll tell you God is the one. Now when you in the yin realm, what happens and what kind of conversations you have 9 times out of 10 when somebody tell you God ain't the one? When you playing with his name, putting his name in vain or something like that, or saying, look, I had to say he, but just for the sake of conversation, just work with me because I'm going to get y'all out of that slowly but surely. We're going to change the world. Yo. So, you know, when you motherfuckers, what's the main thing, what happens when you saying God is not the one? When people playing with his name, going through certain situations, and people playing with God or playing with their own life and not doing what they're supposed to do here, so God will take them up off this earth. So that's what you say when you say don't play with God. People curse in front of a church or this, that, and third, boom, boom, boom. That's when a person 9 times out of 10 would say God ain't the one. Don't be playing with him like that. Huh. You know what I'm saying? But let's talk about what's 9 times out of 10 when we got people saying God is the one. Okay, we got the same protocol and the same program of these people within the same religion and the same science or whatever will tell you that God is the one. Because when they say, who's the one going to save you? They say, oh, God's the one. When they say, what was first? They say, God. God is the one. And then they equate it with the number 1. And all that shit. So 9 times out of 10, that's what you're gonna get when you hear somebody saying God is the one. So what do we have here? We have a dilemma. We have a human conscious dilemma where humans can't differentiate sometimes between the right and the left brain, between the yang realm and the yin realm, between the female, between the male organisms, between the negative, between the positive, between the good, the evil, which is just, if you added O to good, it's God. If you if you take away an O from good, it's God. If you added D to evil, it's the devil. So this is all these is. These are just the yin and yang energies being precipitated through different ways. Now, yin and yang are gods. They are gods. So y'all got that word from archives. Mm-hmm. Yo. Now, yin and yang are gods. They not God, the God, the one everybody is trying to point to try to say what is or what isn't. But yin and yang are powerful. Now, yin and yang have created a bunch of lower level gods. Just like you have jealousy, hatred, you know what I'm saying? Shit like that. That's manifested out of yin. When you have things like positivity, you know what I'm saying, light, you know what I'm saying, like having a positive energy or being good natured or some shit like that. That's like yang energy, like light, basically light and dark. Dark is yin, light is yang, period. Once you take that, it's so many realms of reality our brains is confused with due to programs, our upbringing, due to us looking at other people's literature just because they was born thousands of years before us, looking at their perception and coming up to conclusions now, to the point that we're under, your conscious level is under a crisis, basically. To the point that this God concept is never going to be looked at right due to the conscious conflux that been going on with people. Now, as a whole, like I said in the last video, as of people are trying to tie God to the yang force energy. And I'm trying to tell people that God has nothing, he has everything, it has everything to do with everything, but as far as yang itself, that's not apparently God. You know what I'm saying? That is of an energy being itself. And when you have programs and people of here trying to tie it to a yang energy, then you can utilize the yang energy for whatever you want to use it for. But see, everybody don't understand why we keep tying to God as a him, which is the yang energy, and as the one, which was here, which was the one, which we know 0 comes before 1. You know what I'm saying? Everybody try to tie him to yang, but every time, that's why people can't understand why they can't see God. This is why people can't understand. And then when people try to explain it, they're like, oh, is this something you got to have faith? Something you have to believe. That's yin realm shit. So since that's the only way to explain why you can't see him, then what's the only way the only reason? Then go to an atheist or a person who don't believe in God. Now, the only way you can express to them why they can't feel it, they need physical proof. They're going to ask you why they can't see it, why there's no physical proof, why he's not part of nature then. If he's outside of the realm of nature, then he can't. You see the dilemma that humans as a whole is going through. Humans as a whole consciousness is going through a conscious flux. And it's like, it's going through a conscious flux between the left brain and the right brain, and the human is here to try to, and the mind is here to figure it out, but it's been confused for generations and generations and ages. And I can get into that, but that's another video, why humans are confused. But we didn't got to the point that we think we are smart because we're coming up with conclusions of how the right brain is better than the left brain, or how the left brain is better than the right brain. That's all arguments, period. I don't care what logical, abstract, whatever kind of argument you have with anybody is a mirror. That's all it is. It's us arguing what left brain and right brain, and we arguing our confusion about it. And the better you can use your left brain to argue why my right brain might be fucked up, or the better I can use my right brain and tell you why your left brain is fucked up. There's a right and left. There's a negative and positive energy in the right brain. There's a negative positive energy in the left brain. And we're so diluted down to the medicure of mechanisms going against each other that when it manifests into the whole realm of reality, illusion outcome, that's what we're actually doing. So I just want to tie God out of all of that. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? Like, that's how it is. It's just humans arguing. Like, when you go to a heavy religious person or a person who goes off faith or something like that, and they tell a person, look, you have to go off faith, they're using more yin realm to express why God is here. Then, so when they express that to another person that you got to feel it, the other person going to be like, nah, I have to see it. And vice versa. The person who's telling you that they have to see it, you tell them they have to feel it. So it's like it don't matter if you're an atheist or you're a believer. At the end of the day, the whole argument is based on the confusion humans have with their right and their left brain. And we're trying to come up with programs and literature and language in order to make ourselves feel articulate enough to explain our confusion. That's all it is. But see, when you listen to the Archangel Uriel, you're able to have more clarity of truth. And anytime there's something dealing with truth, that is God. You could go type on the internet right now, what is truth or what is God? They have no choice but to tie something in that has something to do with truth. You know what I'm saying? It's not till all the other programs get laid around it to the point that it fucks up people's perception of it, to the point that you might fuck around and be praising a God that you don't even know is a God, and then you have another person going around cursing out a God that's not even a God. It does, and then it's not making any sense. And people must start to manifest serious things in their lives just because how they're looking at something. Like I said, it's not what you seeing, it's how you see it. You know what I'm saying? So, on a lighter note, you know what I'm saying? God ain't the one. Now, I'm going to break that down a little bit more. Now, let's take the number one. The number one, right? Now, that had to been first. So, we saying it had to been a first initial cause. So, it had to been something here first that caused that initial cause. So, off the bat, this is another confusion with the consciousness flux. Because now, we have to argue what was God then, number 1 or 0? You know what I'm saying? And then if it's like that, is it going like this? First there was no God, which is 0. Then there was a God, which is 1. Then there was 2 gods, which is 2. Then there was 3 gods because they had a baby, which is duality, and had the 3rd God, and then which is 4 gods now because the spirit, which is still 0. Then you have 5 gods now because the kid attached, which is 4, attached itself to 0. You know what I'm saying? Then people don't even understand this with numerology. See, I'm just coming up with different confusions for y'all. You might think that's compelling, what I was just doing with the numbers, but that's just another confusion between the right and left brain. Then you have to look at it like this too. You have 3, 6, 9. 3, 6, and 9 are the same numbers. So it's the trinity, it's the triangle. You look at the number 3. You cut the half of the 3 off. It's going, and then add the rest of the circle. It's going to be 6. Yeah, it's gonna be the 6. The 3 you cut it off. Look, y'all get a piece of paper and write the number 369 right next to each other. They're all the same sigils. Just some go half more and more than other as far as direction and pattern, but they're all the same numbers, and they're all infatuated with 8. 8 is the number 8 deals with affinity. So 369 is the way to affinity. So when things happen in 3s or 6 9s, don't believe nothing like that. That's not what they're talking about. They talk about the triangle. After the roll, there was a triangle. So whatever came here, or whatever was here first, which is not my God, it did a roll and a triangle. So it's like when it rolled, the first direction was a line, but it rolled. This is why we got flat surfaces and round surfaces here. So it was a roll and a direction. The direction created a gap between something. That created space and time. Now that roll created a triangle. So that's how we started getting shapes. That's how we got squares. So this is how we got flat surface, squares, and circles. You get what I'm saying? Now I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know exactly what initiated the roll. I'm going to dive a little bit more deep into that. I don't have enough information for that, all that. See, I'm just Archangel Uriel. I'm not here claiming to be God. A lot of people who here claiming to be God, they don't even know the concept, the real concept of what they're claiming to be. So it's petty overall to a person like me. You know what I'm saying? But for the situation, me coming here, I'm Archangel Uriel. I can tell you I'm more powerful than any rapper or any celebrity calling themselves God. Because their perception of God is low. And I'm Archangel Uriel. I come from the true vine. So my energy and spirit, their God concept is pyramids lower than the actual concept. So me saying I'm an angel, I don't want any rapper or any celebrity out here saying, oh, he's just saying he's an angel, but I'm a God. Like, see, that's the perception they in. They think it, but their God perception in general, we don't see it like that. As far as my family, the real angels, God itself. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to get y'all to understand that. Anybody y'all got talk out here calling themselves a God, they're nobody. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to be a God here. They already gave that energy to money. So all you got to do is have the most money, and you can appear to be a God as far as the human standard, because the human standard is still confused under the consciousness flux between the right and the left brain. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? This is how we live our life, trying to complete and create a balance between the right and left brain. And the more you can do that and align yourself, the better your Kundalini can rise and your spiritual consciousness can rise. And you can start seeing things that other people can't see. And you can start going into other dimensions, stargates, start to understand different spheres of realities, and start to jump through portals the way you're supposed to do here. And really astral travel. I astral travel every day, and this shit don't have nothing to do with this physical form. But I could actually fly in the physical form too. I'm manifesting that shit. You feel me? What I'm trying to tell y'all, I'm trying to let y'all know what's the real circumstances amongst why God is looked at the way it's looked at. You know what I'm saying? Just because how it is in general in the first place of how the perceptions that's put out there, and then by humans having a confusion flux between the consciousness right and left brain, the only conclusions people can come up with when they want to talk about a God or something like that is either in the right or left brain realm of reality, and coming up with some type of process in their mind where they can come to a conclusion. But just doing that, I'm going to tell you, you're never going to come to a conclusion. I'm the only page on the internet that's going to give you some conclusions. You feel me? You don't have to go to school. You don't have to learn nobody's programs. You don't have to read no books. All you have to do is have an understanding of yourself. And God will come to you in so many ways, you won't even know how to handle all the information that's coming to you. You feel me? You got people saying right now, he don't know what the fuck he talking about because he's smoking a blunt. You know what I'm saying? You know how a person like me, how dumb I look at that, but how dumb I be even engaging myself in a conversation like that. You know how much shit I would have to cover and come across to even come to a conclusion that they may not get in anyway? It'd be a big waste of time. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just here to let y'all know that God ain't the one. He ain't the one. So whatever you thought even process and birth this universe ain't what it is. You know what I'm saying? And they keep trying to say space is a vacuum. No. Space is something we're in. That's the only reason it can be space. As humans, being stupid again, confusing the right and left brain consciousness flux, that we just have to come up with certain shit of why shit certain ways because we can't understand the right and the left brain in a whole. And we're not doing ourselves no justice by going completely to the left brain and completely to the right brain to understand what's going on. To the point that we done came to a goddamn conclusion that motherfucking space is a vacuum. Oh, cause space don't have no air, it's a vacuum. Who the fuck said air is the only goddamn supplement? And the only reason we came up with that is because we can't survive without air. So no, I'm not human, but y'all being petty humans, y'all look at it like, oh, since we can't survive up there because it don't have no air for life, then it must be a vacuum of whatever it's supposed to be. Then how the fuck is it planets up in that motherfucker? When you look at an ocean or water, you see rocks and fishes. What separate the rocks and the fishes, and what separate everything in the water from each other? Space, right? But why is it possible for there to be space? Because there's something in it. There's filling it up. Space isn't an empty cup. There's always something in that cup. Just like if you have some water in the cup and you dumped out the cup and you say it ain't nothing in the cup, there's air in the cup. So, for an example, you take a fish out of water. What you think a fish look at fucking air? Oh, we can't survive above this sky. We shouldn't go around there. We won't be able to breathe. So that must not be a form of something. So if you take a human out of air, it's the same way in space. But space is a supplement also. I'm not going to tell you it's water. I'm not going to tell you. I'm looking. Y'all probably thinking when I'm looking at this the little thing I got this on. It got the reflection of me on there too though. But look. Space is a supplement. Space is something that the planets is in. And if you take this planets out of that, the planets won't be able to survive. You see what I'm saying? You're part of a planet. So your planet is, you're within something that's within something that's within something. So the God concept of how people are trying to say is something outside of yourself is not that. It's something you're in. God itself is something you're in. See, I came and plugged myself into the matrix to explain to all of God's blood cells, to explain to all of God's particles and stuff like that, that the way you're manifesting bullshit in its life, in its life, it has a life, or you would have life. You get what I'm saying? That's another video. But you have certain, just like you have blood cells that may be stronger than other blood cells in your body, that's the same way we here on this earth. That's the same way earth is here in this universe. That's the same way this universe is here in the time-space continuum. You know what I'm saying? See, I'm from that realm. I'm not from this universe. So I'm able to express to y'all how I truly understand things. Because you guys, souls and spirits made a bit, and I'm not talking to my soul group. So don't get offended if you're part of my soul group and you kind of could get what I'm saying. You already know what I'm talking about. Or you probably just need someone to express it, and I'm probably that person. But I'm talking about as far as the people who come up here and want to act like they don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about shit like that. So, you know, it's certain concepts that people are in that just, it's just the way it is. And it's at the whole end of the day, it's just a big, any argument you can have is just a big confusion with the consciousness realms of the yin and yang. Yin and yang is powerful. But we're going to get everybody the truth. So I'm extending this video. You know what I'm saying? I got to make a part 3. So this the little extension to how you need God and the devil. This part 2 to that. This is God's not the one. Next one might be what is 2. We're gonna break down. So you're gonna get the understanding of the numerology 2, why 2 here in the first place, how 2 things is created. For there to be a process of an ongoing relating of a duality of something. Hey, it's deep. Flight boss bitch, you know, for sure. Goddamn.